In a distant future, humanity had spread across the stars. Space stations, planets, and colonies dotted the galaxy. They had discovered many advanced forms of life, some friendly and some hostile. Among these beings were the Zolarians, an ancient race known for their wisdom and powerful technology. However, they faced a terrible fate. The Zolarians had been part of the Galactic Council, a governing body that maintained peace among various species. But their recent experiments with forbidden energy source led to a catastrophe. The energy they unearthed was unstable, causing massive destruction on their home planet. As panic spread, the Zolarians were blamed for the chaos. Fearing the repercussions, the Galactic Council cast them out, removing their rights and their voice in intergalactic affairs. They were now wanderers, exiled from the only life they had ever known. Among the Zolarians was a courageous scientist named Nira. She was determined to prove her people's innocence and return their standing in the galaxy. Nira had a special ability to communicate with machines, which made her a valuable member of her race. During their exile, she focused on building a small spacecraft using discarded technology from the Council's worlds, believing that one day they would have a chance to clear their name. Meanwhile, on Earth, a young engineer named Jake was working on a project to improve space travel. He had always dreamed of exploring other planets, and his talent was evident. One day, while testing a new propulsion system, Jake detected a faint signal coming from deep space. Curious, he adjusted his equipment to better understand it. To his surprise, he realized it was a distress signal from the Zolarians. Intrigued, Jake began to respond. After many attempts, he finally managed to establish contact with Nira. She introduced herself and shared the story of her people's fall from grace. Jake felt a strong connection with her and wanted to help. He decided to take action. He gathered a small team of fellow engineers and scientists, including his best friend Mia, a talented programmer, and Phil, a skilled pilot with a knack for navigation. Together, they worked tirelessly to decode the Zolarian technology and craft a plan to rescue them. They named their project Hope. Months passed, but finally, they had built a ship capable of interstellar travel. They filled their cargo with supplies and technology to aid the Zolarians. With excitement and nervousness, they set off on their journey, guided by Nira's coordinates. The journey through space was not without challenges. Space storms and rogue asteroids tested their skills, but the crew worked together, using their unique talents to overcome each obstacle. Jake and Mia developed a strong bond through their shared experiences, while Phil kept the mood light with his jokes. Nira, communicating from her makeshift ship, provided vital information, helping them navigate safely. One day, while traveling through a remote sector of space, they encountered a massive ship. It belonged to a pirate group known as the Crimson Syndicate, infamous for attacking ships and stealing their cargo. The Syndicate had caught wind of the Zolarians' plight and aimed to capture Nira and her people for their own gain. Phil quickly took control, maneuvering their ship to avoid detection. The crew worked together to hide their true intentions. Despite the danger, they communicated secretly with Nira, plotting their next move. The pirates eventually discovered them and initiated a confrontation. The crew was now faced with a dilemma: engage in battle or run. After a tense discussion, they decided to fight. They knew they needed to protect Nira and her people at all costs. Phil piloted their ship with precision, dodging laser blasts from the pirate ship. Mia worked on hacking into the pirate systems, hoping to disable their weapons. Jake focused on maintaining their speed and control. They were a team fighting for the Zolarians, whom they had never met in person but felt connected to. As the battle escalated, Jake realized they had to act quickly. He spotted a weakness in the pirate ship's defenses and shouted instructions to Mia. She executed his plan flawlessly, disabling their weapons. With the pirates now on the back foot, Phil made a daring move, swooping in close for a final strike. They fired their weapons, hitting the pirates' engine, causing them to retreat. With the pirates defeated, the crew breathed a sigh of relief. They continued their journey, motivated by a newfound resolve. Finally, they located Nira's ship, drifting near a desolate moon. The Zolarians had been surviving with limited resources, barely holding on. Upon docking, the crew welcomed Nira aboard and introduced her to their team. She was amazed by their determination and skill. The tension melted away as they shared stories and made plans for the future. Jake felt a spark of hope, knowing they could make a difference together. Nira and the human team quickly devised a plan to help her people regain their place in the galaxy. They knew the Galactic Council would not easily change their minds about the Zolarians. Instead, they decided to gather evidence of the Zolarians' innocence and expose the corruption within the Council to the galaxy. With Nira's technological expertise and the humans' resourcefulness, they created a powerful device to scan the energy that had caused the original disaster. They aimed to prove that the energy was beyond the Zolarians' control and influenced by a darker force within the Council itself. As they completed their mission, they sent messages throughout the galaxy, inviting others to witness their findings. They shared their evidence with the Galactic Council, hoping to find allies among other races. The moment of truth arrived when they presented their results to the galaxy's leaders. Tension filled the air as they awaited the Council's response. The Council members discussed among themselves, and finally, the head of the Council stood up to address the crowd. "We have ignored the truth for too long," she announced. "The Zolarians will be reinstated, and we will work together to heal the damage done." Cheers erupted as the Zolarians were welcomed back into the galactic community. Humanity had stood up for the outcast, showing compassion and bravery. Nira thanked Jake and his team, grateful for their belief in her people. From that day forward, the Zolarians and humans formed a new bond, one of friendship and collaboration. They proved that sometimes those cast out by the galaxy could find a home among the stars, together, standing side by side. Name: Zara species. Human role: a young, compassionate doctor. Name: Kale species. KRYLO role: a KRYLO refugee, haunted by the past. Name: Commander Vark species. Human role: a seasoned military leader, cautious but fair. Here is your story. The year is 2342. Zara, a young doctor with bright eyes and an even brighter spirit, worked at the edge of known space, in a bustling human colony called Haven. Haven was a melting pot, a place where humans and various alien species lived, worked, and sometimes clashed. But it was home, and Zara loved it. One day, a battered, almost derelict ship limped into Haven's orbit. It was a KRYLO vessel, a species known throughout the galaxy for their stoicism and advanced technology. But this ship was different. It was filled with refugees, their faces etched with fear and despair. They had been cast out, exiled from their own galaxy. Commander Vark, a seasoned military leader, met the KRYLO at the docking bay. His face was grim, but his eyes held a hint of sympathy. "State your purpose," he said, his voice echoing in the vast space. An elderly KRYLO stepped forward, his eyes dim with sorrow. "We seek asylum," he said, his voice raspy. "Our galaxy, it no longer wants us." The KRYLO were a proud race, and their exile was a heavy blow to their dignity. They had always been aloof, distant, but never cruel. What could have driven them from their home? The question lingered in the air, unspoken but heavy. Zara was among the first to offer medical assistance. She found Kale, a young KRYLO, huddled in the corner, his eyes filled with a deep-seated pain. He was thin, almost skeletal, and his skin was pale. "Can I help you?" Zara asked gently, reaching out a hand. Kale flinched, pulling away. "Leave me alone," he hissed. Zara didn't back down. She had seen pain before, and she knew that sometimes all it took was a little kindness to break through the walls. "I'm a doctor," she said softly. "I just want to make sure you're okay." Slowly, cautiously, Kale allowed Zara to examine him. He was malnourished and dehydrated, but otherwise physically healthy. It was the emotional scars that worried Zara. Over the next few weeks, Zara and Kale formed an unlikely bond. She learned about the KRYLO, their history, their culture, and the tragedy that had befallen them. Kale, in turn, learned about humans, their warmth, their humor, and their resilience. "Why did they cast you out?" Zara asked one day, her voice barely a whisper. Kale hesitated, his eyes clouding over with pain. "We made a mistake," he said finally. "A terrible mistake. We created a weapon of immense power. We thought we could control it, But we were wrong. It turned against us, destroying everything we held dear. The weapon had been designed to protect them, to ensure their dominance in the galaxy. But it had become a monster, consuming everything in its path. The other species in their galaxy, terrified and enraged, had turned on them, forcing them into exile. Commander Vark, after careful consideration, decided to grant the KRYL asylum. It was a risky decision, one that was met with resistance from some quarters. But Vark believed in second chances. He had seen the KRYL's despair, their genuine remorse. He believed they deserved a chance to rebuild their lives. The KRYL were grateful. They worked hard, contributing to the Haven community. They shared their knowledge, their technology, and their skills. They helped to build new homes, new schools, and new hospitals. They became a part of Haven, a part of humanity. But the past was not easily forgotten. The weapon they created still haunted them, a constant reminder of their folly. Some of the KRYL were consumed by guilt, unable to forgive themselves for what they had done. Kale was one of them. He blamed himself for the tragedy, even though he had been just a child when it happened. He felt responsible for the deaths of millions, for the destruction of his home. Zara tried to help him, but Kale was resistant. He pushed her away, convinced that he was beyond redemption. "You can't keep living in the past," Zara said one day, her voice filled with frustration. "You have to let it go. You have to forgive yourself." "How can I?" Kale asked, his voice raw with pain. "How can I forgive myself for destroying my own people?" "You didn't destroy your people," Zara said firmly. "You were just a child. You didn't have any control over what happened." "But I could have done something," Kale insisted. "I could have stopped it." "No, you couldn't have," Zara said, shaking her head. "You're not responsible for the mistakes of others." Zara's words finally broke through Kale's defenses. He began to cry, tears streaming down his face. He had been holding on to the guilt for so long. It had become a part of him. But now, finally, he was letting it go. Over time, Kale began to heal. He started to participate in community activities, helping to build a new life for himself. He even started to teach Zara about KRYL technology, sharing his knowledge and skills. One day, a distress signal reached Haven. A human colony on the edge of space was under attack by a rogue alien race. Commander Varg prepared to send a fleet to help, but he knew that it would take time. Kale stepped forward. "We can help," he said. "We have technology that can reach them faster." The KRYL had developed a warp drive system that was far superior to anything humans had. They had kept it secret, fearing that it would remind them of the weapon they had created. But now, they were willing to use it to save human lives. Kale and a team of KRYL engineers worked tirelessly, modifying a KRYL ship to carry human soldiers. They were able to reach the colony in time, driving off the attackers and saving countless lives. The humans were grateful, hailing the KRYL as heroes. Kale, who had once felt like an outcast, was now a celebrated member of the community. He had found redemption, not in forgetting the past, but in using it to build a better future. The KRYL never forgot the galaxy that had cast them out, but they also never forgot the humanity that had taken them in. They had found a new home, a new family, and a new purpose. They were no longer just KRYL. They were human, too. Zara smiled, watching Kale interact with the human children, teaching them about the stars and the wonders of the universe. She had seen him transform from a haunted refugee into a confident, compassionate leader. She knew that the KRYL had a long way to go, but they were on the right path. They had learned from their mistakes, and they were determined to build a better future, together with humanity. The galaxy may have cast them out, but humanity had welcomed them with open arms. And in doing so, humanity had not only saved the KRYL, but had also saved themselves. They had shown the galaxy that compassion, understanding, and forgiveness were the most powerful weapons of all. They had proven that even in the darkest of times, hope could still prevail. The end. In a far-off future, humanity had spread far across the stars. The year was 2285, and Earth was no longer the sole home of mankind. Colonies thrived on Mars, Venus, and even the moons of Jupiter. But with great expansion came great challenges. Many species from various planets had forged alliances and some had also clashed in terrible wars. Amidst this backdrop, there lay a small, unknown planet orbiting a distant star. The locals called it Kither. The inhabitants of Kither were a peaceful and intelligent species known as the Vylarans. They had unique abilities that allowed them to communicate with nature and enhance their surroundings. However, their peaceful ways did not align with the more aggressive factions in the galaxy. One day, Kither was invaded by a powerful alien race known as the Calthans. The Calthans were a war-hungry species that sought to dominate the galaxy. They saw the Vylarans as weak and aimed to enslave them. The Vylarans fought bravely, but were no match for the brutal strength of the Calthans. One by one, they were defeated. When the Calthans finished their conquest, they declared Kither a failed planet and threw the surviving Vylarans out into the galaxy, labeling them as inferior. Many Vylarans were lost in space, wandering to vast emptiness, unsure of their fate. However, hope glimmered when a human ship named the Starfinder, captained by Amelia Hart, stumbled upon them. Captain Amelia Hart was a strong-willed woman with a deep sense of justice. She had spent years exploring the galaxy and was known for her kindness and bravery. When Amelia spotted the Vylarans drifting aimlessly in their small crafts, she ordered her crew to assist them. Her first officer, Rob, a tall and muscular man with a quick wit, was among those who leaped into action. "Bring them aboard. We can't leave them out here," Amelia commanded. The crew quickly maneuvered the Starfinder to collect the lost Vylarans. As they boarded the ship, Amelia noticed one Vylaran in particular. His name was Kieran, and he had bright blue skin with shimmering patterns like stars across his body. Kieran spoke softly, thanking the humans for their kindness. "We thought we were alone," Kieran said, his voice trembling. Amelia smiled warmly. "You are not alone anymore. We'll help you." The crew took the Vylarans to the ship's medical bay, where they received care and nourishment. Over the next few days, a friendship blossomed between the humans and the Vylarans. The Vylarans shared tales of their home, their abilities, and their deep connection to nature. In return, the humans shared stories of Earth, their adventures across the stars, and their determination to stand against cruelty. As they traveled together, they faced challenges. The Calthans were not finished. They sent ships in search of the Vylarans, and Captain Hart had to navigate through dangerous space battles. The humans and Vylarans worked as a team, combining their skills. Kieran used his powers to create shields that protected the Starfinder from enemy fire, while Rob piloted the ship with agility and courage. Meanwhile, the Vylarans learned about technology from Amelia and her crew. They had never seen machines and ships like those of the humans. Kieran was especially fascinated by the engines of the Starfinder. He spent his nights with the ship's engineer, Miri, learning how the engines worked. The crew began to understand just how valuable the Vylarans were, not only as friends, but as allies. Their powers could help humanity in ways they had never imagined. Within weeks, they had become a united family, bound by shared dreams and goals. However, the Calthans were relentless. During a fierce battle, they finally caught up with the Starfinder. Their massive ship surrounded Amelia's vessel, blocking all escape routes. "Prepare for battle," Amelia shouted, her hands gripping the control panel of the ship. As the Calthans opened fire, Kieran felt a rush of power. He concentrated deeply and tapped into the energy of the ship. A vibrant wave of energy flowed from him, surrounding the Starfinder and creating a shield that absorbed the blast from the Calthan ships. The crew was amazed. Miri shouted, "Kieran, this is incredible." With Kieran leading the charge, the humans and Vylarans worked hand in hand. Rob manned the weapons as Amelia navigated the ship through enemy fire. They executed tactical moves that surprised the Calthans. They fought bravely together, showcasing the strength of unity. Hours passed as the battle raged, but they persevered. Finally, the Starfinder broke free and escaped into the vastness of space. The crew cheered with joy, and the Vylarans wept tears of gratitude. "We did it! We fought back!" Amelia shouted, her voice filled with pride. Kieran smiled. "Together, we are strong." As they traveled to find a safe world for the Vylarans, a new chapter began. Earth was waiting for them, and as they entered the atmosphere, they were met with awe and love. The humans celebrated their new friends and welcomed them with open arms. The Valerians shared their knowledge of nature, while the humans taught them about technology. They built a new home together, merging the beauty of Kither with human innovation. The galaxy had cast them out, but humanity had taken them in, creating a bond that would last through the ages. Amelia and Kieran stood atop a hill overlooking the new settlement, a vibrant blend of technology and nature. "Thank you for believing in us," Kieran said. Amelia replied, "Thank you for showing us that there is more to strength than just power." From that day forward, the humans and Valerians stood side by side, forging a path toward a brighter future in the stars, together as one. The Outcasts of Xylos. The year is 2342. The shimmering starships of the Galactic Federation, a coalition of 100 alien races, patrol the cosmos, ensuring peace and prosperity. Or so they claimed. On the fringes of known space, a lone, battered vessel limped towards Earth, a blue and green jewel in the vast darkness. Inside, the Xylosian refugees huddled, their large, luminous eyes filled with a mixture of fear and hope. They were outcasts, banished from the Federation, their very existence deemed a threat. Their leader, a wise elder named Zara, looked at her people. "We are close," Zara said, her voice soft but firm. "Earth. The humans. They are our last hope." The Xylosians were a peaceful race, known for their unique ability to manipulate energy. This gift, once celebrated, had become their curse. The Federation, fearing their potential, had fabricated accusations, claiming the Xylosians were developing weapons, threatening galactic stability. With no evidence, they voted to exile them, stripping them of their rights and resources, and casting them out into the cold void. On Earth, the United Nations Space Command, UNSC, detected the approaching vessel. Admiral Sarah Jenkins, a seasoned officer with a reputation for level-headedness, studied the data. The ship was of unknown origin, heavily damaged, and broadcasting a distress signal. "Unknown vessel approaching Earth," reported Lieutenant Commander David Chun, his voice crisp and professional. "Requesting permission to engage." Sarah hesitated. "Negative, Commander. Hold your fire. Let's see what they want." The Xylosian vessel entered Earth orbit, its movements slow and deliberate. Zara transmitted a message, her voice filled with desperation. "People of Earth, we are the Xylosians. We seek asylum. We are refugees, falsely accused and exiled by the Galactic Federation. We beg for your help." The message echoed in the halls of the UN headquarters in New York. The world watched with bated breath as humanity faced a monumental decision. Granting asylum to a race fleeing the Galactic Federation could have huge consequences. The debate was fierce. Some feared retaliation from the Federation. Others were wary of the Xylosians' abilities, echoing the Federation's concerns. But there were those, like Secretary General Anya Sharma, who believed in compassion and justice. "We cannot turn our backs on those in need," Anya argued. "We must investigate their claims, offer them sanctuary, and show the galaxy what humanity stands for." After days of deliberation, the UN voted to grant the Xylosians temporary asylum. The decision was met with mixed reactions, but the wheels were set in motion. The Xylosian vessel was guided to a remote area in the Nevada desert, a place known as Area 52, far from populated areas. As the ship landed, a team of scientists, diplomats, and security personnel waited, led by Admiral Jenkins and Secretary General Sharma. Zara emerged from the ship, her regal bearing unbowed despite her weary appearance. She was followed by a small group of Xylosians, their faces etched with anxiety. "Welcome to Earth," Anya said, her voice warm and sincere. "We are here to help you." Zara inclined her head. "Thank you, Secretary General. We are grateful for your kindness." The Xylosians were taken to a specially prepared facility. They were given medical attention, food, and comfortable living quarters. The scientists, led by Dr. Emily Carter, began studying their physiology and technology. Emily was fascinated by the Xylosians' ability to manipulate energy. She learned that they used this ability for healing, communication, and powering their technology. They had no weapons, no desire for conquest. "They are truly a peaceful race," Emily told Anya. "The Federation's accusations are baseless. As the Xylosians settled in, they began to share their knowledge and culture with the humans. They taught them about energy manipulation, sharing their techniques for healing and sustainable energy production. They showed them the beauty of their art and music, their deep respect for nature, and the interconnectedness of all things. The humans, in turn, share their own knowledge and culture. They taught the Xylosians about their history, their art, their technology. They showed them the beauty of their diverse cultures, their resilience, and their unwavering spirit of innovation. A bond formed between the two races, a bond of mutual respect and understanding. The humans saw the Xylosians not as a threat, but as fellow beings deserving of compassion and friendship. The Xylosians saw the humans not as primitive or naive, but as a species with immense potential for good. However, the Galactic Federation was not pleased with Earth's decision to grant asylum to the Xylosians. They sent a delegation to Earth, demanding that the Xylosians be handed over for interrogation and justice. Admiral Jenkins stood firm. "We have investigated the Federation's claims," she said. "We have found no evidence of wrongdoing on the part of the Xylosians. We will not hand them over." The Federation delegation was furious. They threatened sanctions, even military action. But Earth stood its ground. They would not betray their new friends. The Federation imposed sanctions, cutting off trade and diplomatic ties. Earth's economy suffered, but the people remained steadfast in their support for the Xylosians. They knew they were doing the right thing. As tensions rose, Zara proposed a solution. She offered to share her people's energy manipulation technology with Earth, providing them with a clean, sustainable energy source that would free them from their dependence on fossil fuels. The humans were hesitant. They feared the potential consequences of such powerful technology. But Zara assured them that the Xylosians would teach them how to use it responsibly. Together, the humans and the Xylosians developed a revolutionary energy system that harnessed the power of the planet's natural energy fields. The technology was clean, efficient, and virtually limitless. Earth became a beacon of sustainability, a model for other worlds to follow. The Galactic Federation, witnessing Earth's newfound power and prosperity, was forced to reconsider its stance. They sent a new delegation, this time with a conciliatory message. They offered to reinstate the Xylosians' rights and welcome them back into the Federation. Zara considered the offer. She knew that some of her people longed to return to their home, to see their families and friends. But she also knew that Earth had become their new home, a place where they were accepted and valued. "We thank the Federation for their offer," Zara said, "but we have found a home on Earth. We will stay here with our human friends." The Federation delegation was surprised, but they respected Zara's decision. They realized that they had made a mistake in casting out the Xylosians. They had underestimated the power of compassion and the strength of the human spirit. From that day forward, Earth and the Xylosians worked together to build a better future for both their races. They shared their knowledge, their resources, and their cultures. They became allies, partners, and friends. Earth became a haven for outcasts, a symbol of hope for those who had been rejected by the galaxy, and the humans, once considered insignificant, rose to become a force to be reckoned with, a beacon of light in the vast darkness of space. They had shown the galaxy that humanity, despite its flaws, was capable of extraordinary compassion and unwavering loyalty. In a distant future, humanity had spread across the stars. Earth was no longer the only home for people. Colonies on Mars and Venus flourished, while distant planets and other solar systems became bustling trade outposts. But despite humanity's growth, the galaxy remained a harsh place where only the strongest survived. One sunny day on a small outpost called New Haven, Captain Mia Reyes gazed out the stars. She was the leader of a crew of explorers, always eager to discover new worlds. Her small ship, the Starfinder, had recently returned from a mission. As she looked through the viewing panel, she spotted a small ship speeding toward New Haven. The tiny vessel looked old and battered. Mia's curiosity piqued. "Who do you think is on that ship?" she asked her first mate, Liam, who was busy checking the ship systems. "Pirates, maybe? Or explorers like us?" Liam replied, his fingers tapping on his tablet. Mia shook her head. "It's too small for pirates. Let's see who it is." As the ship docked, Mia and Liam went to the airlock. A few moments later, the door opened with a hiss, and they were greeted by non-human figures. They looked like a mix of creatures from various planets. Some had scales, others had feathers, and a few had glistening skin. "Greetings," said their leader, a tall creature with purple scales. "I am Zarnak from the planet Veltra. We need your help." Mia motioned for them to enter. "What happened? You look like you've been through a lot." Zarnak nodded. "Our people were cast out of the galaxy for being different. Many of us were left to wander, rejected by those who saw us as threats. We fled to your world, hoping for a safe place." Mia was stunned. She looked at Liam, who wore a concerned expression. "What do you need from us?" Mia asked. "We seek refuge." Zarnak replied with desperation in his voice. "We want to live among you, to share knowledge and culture. We will bring peace, not war." Liam frowned. "What would the galaxy's other races say if they found out you are here?" Zarnak lowered his head. "They fear us because we are different, but our abilities can help you. We are skilled in technology and healing. Please give us a chance." Mia took a deep breath. She hated the idea of leaving these beings to the mercy of the galaxy. "All right, you can stay. We'll protect you." Months passed, and the Veltrians settled in New Haven. They shared their culture with the human colonists, teaching them new technologies and medicines. In return, the humans welcomed them with open arms. Among the Veltrians, Mia formed a strong bond with a young healer named Lyra. Lyra had vibrant green feathers and a gentle spirit. They spent many evenings together under stars, sharing stories of their pasts. One night, as they were looking up at the stars, Lyra shared a secret. "There are those who want to drive us away again. They don't understand." "Who would do that?" Mia asked, surprised. "People from the Viction Empire. They envy our knowledge and wish to erase us," Lyra said, her eyes wide with fear. Mia's heart raced. The Victions were known for their ruthlessness. "What can we do?" "We must prepare," Lyra said with determination. "We need allies." Mia called for a meeting with her crew and Veltrians. Gathers took place in the cargo bay, while people shared ideas. Some suggested creating weaponry for defense, while others thought of diplomatic means to seek support from other human colonies. Ideas flew back and forth, but one voice stood out: Zarnak. "We must show strength, not only for us, but for all who feel cast out. If we fight together, we can make a difference." The crew agreed. They built up defenses around New Haven and sent messages to other colonies, asking for help in case of an attack. They prepared to stand united against the Victions. Weeks later, Mia received word that the Victions were on their way. "They are approaching fast," she stated, her voice steady. "Get ready, everyone." As the ship approached, a dark shadow blocked the stars. Mia's heart beat faster. The looming vessel was massive, making their ship seem tiny by comparison. "It's a battleship," Liam shouted, gripping the control panel tightly. Without hesitation, Mia took charge. "Veltrians, we need you in the front lines. Prepare for defense." As the Victions boarded, their armored figures filled the airlock. Mia stood with her crew and Veltrians, ready to protect New Haven, unfurl the banner of peace. Zarnak shouted, stepping forward, "We do not wish to fight, but we will defend our home." The Victions laughed, their voices cold. Their leader, a tall figure with red skin, stepped forward. "You think you can stand against us? You are nothing but insects cast out into the void." But instead of fear, Mia found strength. "We are not insects. We embrace differences. Attack us, and you'll face not just humans, but every being seeking peace." With those words, the battle erupted. Blasters echoed through the air as humanity and Veltrians fought side by side. The Victions pushed forward, but so did the people of New Haven. Unity forged a shield against hatred. As the fight grew chaotic, Mia spotted Lyra battling bravely beside her. "Together!" Mia shouted, raising her weapon. They charged forward, driving back the Victions ever so slightly. After what felt like hours, the tide began to turn. The Victions, realizing they were outnumbered and outsmarted, retreated to their ship. As they fled into the starry sky, a cheer erupted from the defenders of New Haven. "We did it! We fought them off." Liam laughed, hugging Mia tightly. Mia turned to the Veltrians, her heart swelling with gratitude. We did this together. Zarnak stepped forward, his face lit with pride. This is a new beginning. Together, we can change this galaxy. As they stood there, surrounded by friends and allies, Mia realized that despite the challenges ahead, they could build a future together. The galaxy had cast them out, but humanity took them in. And in that moment, they forged a bond that would change their worlds forever.